You know the most embarrassing thing that maybe has ever happened to me?
What's that?
Right now? I don't know if you can see it, Chris, but I'm tearing up a little bit because I'm reading the Wikipedia page for the bucket list.
Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week. What else you got?
So last week, as I said, going out on my trip, but
Came back early.
Chris, you convinced me.
Yeah.
You're out here with me, baby. We're in New Line,
Joshua Tree.
California. Joshua Tree,
California.
Hollywood, California, baby. We're out here. We're outside right now under Josh the tree.
Yeah, and just soaking in Willem Dafoe's new star on the Walk of David.
Yeah. Did you see him kiss it when it got put down?
No, I didn't.
I think everybody kisses it when it gets put in, but every time I see that, I'm like, that's the sidewalk, man. Like, I know it's a new piece of sidewalk that no one's touched yet, but I'm also like, that's so close to sidewalk, though.
Yeah, it's very close, touching sidewalk.
Yeah.
How's it feel? Be soaking in the California rays.
Oh, it's New Year, new me, baby.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever coming home.
Yeah,
Tell Mama I miss her.
Crazy. It's only like 5:36 right now, where we're at.
Oh yeah, this is so early for us to record a podcast. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, nuts.
Love it.
We watched 2 movies in California.
We watched them one on the plane.
And then the other one on the car. Yeah, car
because
ride.
we drove. We
drove halfway.
We had a layover in Nevada, but it's like so close. I don't know why we couldn't just.
Sure.
We had a layover in Nevada, and
we
then
canceled the connecting flight.
We saw Hertz, and we're like, you know what? Though?
Let's rent a Tesla.
I bet you they got
the Cybertruck.
2024 Geo Metros. Let's hop in. I think they stopped making Geo Metros in like 1991. Anyway, and we watched it on an iPad.
We did, yeah. Because the 2024 Geo Metro is self-driving. So the first one we watched, though, was Chinatown. And we should also say, before I finish it up, also, it's your birthday yesterday, technically, when you're hearing this, January 21st.
Correct.
Right now, though, it's 3 hours earlier because we're in California. Mm-hmm. And also, we record these earlier than you hear them. So it's also the 17th. You picked both of them.
I did.
And since you're a birthday boy, you want to say why?
I picked one because I wanted to watch Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I picked the other one so that you would agree to watch Spider-Man because we would also be watching Chinatown.
Wow. Happy birthday, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it worked, and I'm glad it did because I'm real glad I saw Chinatown.
Oh, yeah. Well, in why fuck up, a good thing, let's just do it the way we always do it. We watched Chinatown first. What's your history of Chinatown?
My Chinatown history is that I knew about it, and I knew that you really liked it.
Yeah.
And it's been on my list forever.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies that I thought was way longer than it was.
Yeah, classic.
And I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
But that's the end of it.
Yeah, I got it early 20s. I think may have been broken up with my girlfriend at the time and was just trying to date a lady who was like into film. And was like, oh, look at this, Great Gatsby. Oh, not Great Gatsby. Oh, look at this, Citizen Kane. That's what I meant to say. And, oh, look at this, Casablanca. And I was like, oh, look at this, Chinatown. And did like Chinatown. We'll also say dumb, smooth brain that didn't fully, I think, get it the first time.
To be clear, I would like to see Chinatown again for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot I'm missing out on.
I think that's just like normal with a noir film, I think. Mm-hmm. That's just like par for the course. Yeah. Buckle up.
And first, I was going to say I'd like to get to it, but are you? I'll let you continue.
Just going to say same thing with LA Confidential. I think the first probably 3 or 4 times I saw it, to be fair, I was in my teens, but like I didn't fully know what was going on. I just knew that I liked it.
That's something I really liked about this. Maybe it is my brain getting a little less smooth. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like I always like to compare it to a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like noir movies do this too. They just talk to you like when exposition's being laid out. it is two people who have known each other for 25 years talking to each other, and you kind of just have to keep up.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to keep going. And it's like, oh, okay. And then, like, I'll rewatch one of those movies and be like, oh, I saw this conversation. Did not pick up this middle part of it that's crucial.
Yeah.
For some reason, with Chinatown, I wasn't really getting that.
Sure.
Like, I remember taking a note when he shows up to, I don't know, the quarry and sees the police lieutenant that he used to work with in Chinatown.
Yeah.
It just kind of hit me that I was like, I haven't been, like, into any of what's happening. Like, none of it's excited me and it been interesting to me, really. But I am hooked. I am on the edge of my seat right now. This movie's just, like, magnetic. And, like, everything's clicking with me. I know exactly what's happening. Something about water.
I hate to derail you, but you mentioned a James Bond film, and did you hear the news?
No.
That apparently Kanye had all of his teeth removed and spent $850,000 to have titanium, platinum teeth or something like that put in, like Jaws from James Bond movies, the villain.
Mm-hmm. Did he say like Jaws?
He posted a picture on his Instagram of him next to Jaws. Yes.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't agree with a lot of what the guy says. That's pretty cool.
So anyways, I want to read this really quick, which I didn't know, because if you didn't know that this is called the Eating Soup Alone : Chris reads the Wikipedia page for 2 movies each week. Background: the producer offered the screenwriter $175,000 to write a screenplay for The Great Gatsby. Mm-hmm. But he did not think he could do better than the F. Scott Fitzgerald novel, so he turned down that offer and asked for $25,000 to write his own thing called Chinatown.
It's amazing that this isn't based on a book.
Yeah. Let's see. Apparently, also, this was intended to be one of 3, with the second one being made, the 2 Jakes, which I did not know about, which is going to have Giddy's, caught up in another grab for oil, so water, oil. And then the third one, which never got made, was going to be about the final kind of finite resource in Los Angeles land. Talking about some origins, Mulray's loosely based on a real guy, but there was something else in here that I wanted to bring up if I can find it really quick.
I'd also like to point out, for a little preamble, hey, remember when I used to do that? Remember when I used to talk about who directed it and produced it and how much money it made and yada yada? Well, this for Chinatown. I'm going to go back to that because I'd specifically like to just point out and mention that my computer froze, refreshing. Chinatown was written by Robert Towne, produced by Robert Evans, starring Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway, cinematography, John A. Alonzo, edited by Sam Osteen, music by Jerry Goldsmith, and then a bunch of other companies.
Okay.
Also directed by Roman Polanski. But a lot of people make a movie.
Yeah. That is true. There are definitely a lot of great people who worked on this film, and then one not so good person.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
That being said, fun fact, the director and writer had a lot of apparently disagreements on how the movie should end, and the writer wrote it that she lives at the end, and Roman Polanski was very adamant that she should die at the end. So,
why do you reckon?
I don't know.
What does that mean to you?
I don't know.
Well, I'd like to read this really quick.
I don't know.
Towne wrote the screenplay with Jack Nicholson in mind. The title, which apparently he took from an exchange between a Hungarian vice cop who worked in Los Angeles' Chinatown, who was talking about like dealing with its confusion of dialects and gangs. The whole thing with what did you do in Chinatown as little as possible. The vice cop thought that police were better off in China doing nothing because you could never tell what went on there and whether what you did was helping or furthering the exploitation of victims.
Yeah, that's what he whispers at the end.
Yeah. Was he whispered? He whispers that whole thing or what?
When he sees her in the car and they say something to him and he just kind of mumbles, he goes, as little as possible.
Yeah.
Because earlier when she goes, what'd you do when you were in Chinatown? He says, as little as possible.
Yeah.
And if he had done as little as possible, Chris, maybe she'd still be alive.
Yeah, he did too much. He really did the most. He did the much.
Also, I tried to do my normal thing to do some research on this movie and see some other people's thoughts and opinions on it. And different points of view. I think that every analysis of this movie that you can find online is narrated by AI.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do about that.
Just talking about Academy Awards real quick. This was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Original Dramatic Score, Best Sound, and it won for Original Screenplay.
Oh, let me see who won. Oh, Godfather Part 2 won that year. That makes sense.
Yeah. And it won a bunch of other awards. But anyways, really quick, yeah, just from the rip, this is a great movie.
This movie kicks so much ass.
Yeah, this is great. For sure. I read Sid Field's like screenwriting book or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might still have.
I absolutely do.
Yeah. Okay. I can't stop doing the thing.
I'm
hyper aware of it now.
I know you've given up the dream, but one day I'll be a screenwriter, Chris. I'm hanging on to the book.
Hell yeah. I've not necessarily given it up. I just, I'm like, let's live some more life.
I've given it up. That was the
joke. Oh, okay. I'm like, let's live some more life, and then I'll try to write something. Let's not be super stressed about trying to write something right now.
But you're for sure at the point where you
stop umming.
Need that book anymore, so
I'm making a conscious effort right now to not for the rest of this podcast.
Okay.
In that book, Sid Fields continually comes back to the Chinatown screenplay, specifically the bait and switch, which is fantastic. I'm told by Wikipedia that this movie is set in 1937. Wouldn't have known that if it weren't right down right here. But anyways, we meet Jake Gittes, Jack Nicholson. Fantastic. Jack Nicholson, outside of that time in the mid-90s, he might have beat up a prostitute. Can do no wrong.
Yeah.
In my mind,
Hey, Chris, you know what? I'll say it. He gets 2 more. And then I'm like, all right.
And then Mr. Nicholson will be cut off. But
87-year-old Mr. Nicholson will be cut off.
He's 87.
No, I made that up, but I bet you he's close.
He's in such shitty shape, I gotta say. But
he's 86.
Yeah. Glad he's still with us, though. I do genuinely consider Jack Nicholson one of my favorite actors of all time.
Oh, absolutely. What take a guess. What year was the last time he was in a movie?
2007.
Bonus points if you can get the name.
It wasn't the fucking, was it The Bucket List? Or was it The Departed? Or was it something like, I don't know, Shametown Badge? I don't know. What is it?
It was I had it a second ago, and I scrolled too far down. How do you know?
How do I know what? That it was The Bucket List?
It's the name of the movie. How do you know?
Okay. It was like kind of a who's on first situation.
It's a Reese Witherspoon, Owen Wilson, Paul Rudd joint.
Okay.
And also Jack Nicholson.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been 13 years since he was in a movie. Oh, he was on SNL for a second in 2015. So sorry.
Sure.
He was on Mark Maron's podcast last month. 2
Really?
months ago.
Interesting.
I don't have any interest in Mark Maron's podcast. I'm gonna for sure listen to that later.
Yeah. Basically, what happens in this first scene is we meet Jake Gittes. He's a private investigator, and a woman. There's an that's one. No more.
Okay.
No more. Jake Gittes has meets Evelyn Mulray. Okay. She shows up and says, "My husband's fucking around on me. I want you to get pictures of this guy," right? And he's basically he does some 1930s shit where he's like, "Do you love your husband?" She's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Then you don't want to know. Just go home.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. He loves you. Drop it." She's like, "I can't drop it, and also I've got big stacks." And he's like, "I like big stacks," so he decides to go take photos of this man fucking around.
I think I like what he says to her specifically. It might be like a skeezy thing to just like for sure get her to agree to it, and also that she has a lot of money.
Yeah.
When he's like, "Yeah, you don't want to know, yada yada," and she's like, "No, I want to know." He goes, "Listen, this kind of work can be very expensive, so."
But for the most part, I love these shots. It's just so like Blue Velvet.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. The character just gets involved in a mystery. He starts trailing this guy, and this guy just goes to dams and other water runoff places and just like
hangs out.
Is hanging out and like just for a long times, and Jack Nicholson's just sitting there smoking cigarettes, like just probably like, what the fuck is this guy with glasses doing, you know? And then eventually he is like whatever paddle boating in like a lake with
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
with the young woman who is, spoilers, actually his wife's daughter and sister. So they're probably not necessarily having an affair, I think, or is it?
Yeah, no,
I think
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's because the whole thing is set up by the dad to get him killed. But whatever. So basically, he does get these pictures, and suspiciously quick, it's all over the press.
Yeah.
And this is the turnaround that Sid Fields always talks about. After the great scene in the barber shop when Jack Nicholson's getting a shave, and another guy's giving him grief for putting someone's business out there so publicly or whatever, and he's like, I make an honest living. You know, that great. He gets into the office after hearing a racist joke at that barbershop.
I love how unbelievably worked up he is in that.
Oh, yeah, Jack Nicholson's the king of that.
And he's so hot. Hot-headed.
Jack Nicholson's never turned down the opportunity to slam somebody.
Never turned down the opportunity to slam, and he's slamming, and just steam is shooting out of his ears, and like that barber has to like almost strap him back down to the chair.
Yeah.
Listen, I heard this joke about a Chinese guy the other
day.
Yeah. And then to cut to the next scene, and he comes in beaming like, guys, you have to hear this joke about a Chinese. Like, I'm like, that's such a weird thing for the barber to say, but for also to be 100% effective and be exactly what he needs to just send him off for the rest of his days. So funny to me.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say
the joke.
I'm going to say some of it, but I'm just going to say Asian guy.
Yeah. Also, I'll bleep this for sure. No matter what we do, we cannot name this episode the... Okay?
It's really funny, and I think you should leave it in. But he's basically like, he gets to the office, and unbeknownst to him, he's right behind me style. He's like, you got to hear this story my barber told me, all right? He's talking about how, you know, he's screwing his wife or whatever, and he's like, you know, you're screwing like a Chinaman or whatever. Like, the whole thing where he's like, it's just a weird story that I genuinely don't get about how he's like, the Chinese screw by, they screw for a little bit, and then they go out and they consult the stars for a little bit, and then they screw some more. Like, I don't fully know what the joke.
I think the joke is like, it's like when Chinese men have sex, they do this. They have sex a little bit, then they go do something else. Then they have sex a little bit, and then they go do something else.
Yeah.
So when you have sex with your wife, he goes and has sex with his wife for a little bit, and makes a drink.
No, I get that.
And then his wife goes, "You're having sex just like a Chinese man." And
but what is
the joke? Is that his wife has had sex recently with a Chinese man.
Yeah, but the thing is I don't get the thing about where is this coming from? The screw for a little bit, then go look at the stars. Screw for a little bit, go consult a book.
Chris, it's good old fashioned racism that like Chinese people are
just making up some shit because they're from the Orient, quote unquote.
Yeah, they're very like mystical and thoughtful and like whimsical and like really like law and drawing out things where you have to really think about it. And yeah, just racism.
Anyways, he tells this very embarrassing racist joke in front of who we find out very soon is the real Evelyn Mulwray, which, like I said, the Sid Fields thing is like, okay, so now you're hooked because you're like, okay, well, who the fuck was that in the beginning, right? This is a noir. It's hard to keep track of. But basically, you find out later that it was like a prostitute that was like hired to like pretend to be her. And Giddy's basically, I guess he feels like he's been like, he said, this is funny too, because like much like LA Confidential, LA is still a developing like city. So there's a point where Giddy's, I think unironically says like, LA is a small town. I don't want to get a reputation. That's why I'm tracking this down, because like I don't want to be the guy who's like TMZ basically. I want to be respected.
The person who set you up also set me up.
Exactly, right? I got pants. So he really wants to get to the bottom of what's going on, right?
I really like when you first meet Mrs. Mulwray. She comes in and she's giving him what for. And he goes like, and she's just laying him out.
Yeah,
like,
slam.
So stern, so slamming. And he's like, listen, if I could just tell you that. She goes, no. You'll be telling that to my lawyer.
Yeah.
And then she leaves and she shuts the door behind her. And I love that her lawyer's like, hey, so I have these papers for you to sign. If you can right now, well, whenever you can get to it. Okay, but like, I love that, like, she is quintessential gaslight.
Girl boss gatekeep.
Yes. And then goes, you'll have to deal with my lawyer.
Yeah.
And her lawyer's the smallest man
Just
you've ever made.
Yeah. But no, I do like, I don't know the line verbatim, but I know exactly what you're talking about, because he's like, we don't have to get hard or whatever. And she's like, I don't get hard. My lawyer does.
Yes,
and
exactly,
it goes, like, oh. But anyway, so basically she says, like, I'm going to sue you for this because that was not, like, I don't know who hired you. I've never met you, right? You agree to that. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So... can't remember exactly fully the total, events, but as you mentioned earlier, he does go to like that water reservoir, quarry-ish, whatever the fuck thing.
Mm-hmm.
He sneaks in by lying or something, saying that he's that's right, because he goes to see Mulray's like whatever the word is, coworker.
Yeah.
And he swipes some of his.
Yeah, very cool.
And so
he's constantly doing this shit in this movie. You're like, why would you be doing that?
Yeah.
When he takes like, can I take one card, and takes like 6, or when he pulls like, he opens his card and he's got like 11 clocks in there.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And it's just like, old school detective work.
Yeah, because when he's trailing Mulray earlier, he takes 2 like watches, like a stopwatch, or whatever. He makes sure that they're totally in sync, and then he puts one of them underneath the tire so that when it gets smashed or whatever, he knows exactly when it left or whatever.
Or like later he goes outside and smashes someone's taillight, and then in a minute or two he's following them. It's like, so you can tell from far away which is the car you're following.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And we talked about it at the beginning of the movie about how like, oh man, that'd be the best job, to be a 1930s detective.
Yeah.
And just hang out and watch people at the beach all day, so you can be at the beach all day. Just observe.
Keep an eye on the guy.
Chris?
Yeah.
I bet you in the year 2024, that's the easiest job in the world.
Yeah, you probably don't even have to leave the office.
Someone hires you, you check around Facebook and Twitter for a while.
Yeah.
And then if you can't find anything, you're like, well, that's probably as much as I can do. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I should also mention that they see him arguing with an old ass man, and they're yelling about apple core or something like that, because later on there's, what is the name of the real thing?
Abernt Dorn.
Yeah, something like that. It's like a fucking yacht club or something. Whatever. But basically the big thing that they unravel is that this old guy who, and I love this detail too. It's something I was thinking about, because I was always like, why is he putting it in the name of all these old people, right? And it goes back to, and this is why I think this is a great screenplay, when Giddys first meets the old-ass man, whatever the fuck that guy's name is.
Her dad?
Yeah, he says something like, you like to try to keep your, name out of the paper. You're a pretty private guy or whatever, that kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's exactly why he'd put it in all those old people's names, because like if it suddenly said, old-ass man, old-ass man, old-ass man, old-ass man, bought up all this property, that makes some headlines.
Yeah.
But if a bunch of random names are buying all this property, who gives a fuck? It's great. Genius. I do also like, I know we're skipping forward a bit, but when he does meet the old ass man, he says that fucking line where he's like, you seem like a respectable man or whatever. He's like, he says, even politicians, buildings, and whores become respectable if they live long enough.
I didn't get that. I didn't catch that. It's very good.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
But I know before this, he shows up to the real Evelyn and tells her, hey, he thinks, like, I'm on the case and I'm whatever. And she's just like, okay, I'm dropping it. I'm dropping the lawsuit. And he's like, I don't want you to drop the lawsuit.
He's like, yeah, I have to clear my name too now. And she's like, no, that's fine. I'm not going to sue you.
And then she's like, I'm hiring you. Because, like, her husband's dead now.
Yeah.
So now she's working for him.
He sees something in her pond.
He sees something in the
pick up,
pond.
and she comes in and goes,
Yeah, and there's this is another thing that's interesting to me. I guess it probably just has to do with, like, culturally there being a lot of Chinese immigrants in LA, because all of the people who work the maid services and stuff like that, and the butlers are all presumably Chinese. Yeah, and they keep talking about Chinatown every now and then. The movie's called Chinatown, obviously. So
shout out James Hong.
But anyways, so the I think the death is supposed to look like
He's wrong.
Yeah, but they salt water in the lungs. Obviously, I'd like that Jake Giddys is good friends with the coroner. That's a fun little
my
scene.
favorite coroner I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah,
he's just a huge guy with a big apron with a pack of Marlboro Red sticking out of it.
Yeah,
and he's got so much to say. I feel like every morgue assistant you see in a movie is like a hip young person.
Yeah,
who's like chewing gum and has a choker on or whatever.
Yeah,
and they're just like, oh god, I love this stuff so much. Just like, oh god, I don't want to talk to the coroner. They are weird, but I love this guy. It's just like, this is my fucking job, man.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we also probably moved past the point where he like shows up at the reservoir at night, sees all the water being dumped, he almost drowns it, he has to climb over, someone shot at him, and then that guy is like, hey, keep your nose out of this or else I'll cut it off, and he like slices his nose.
And I yelled out loud.
Yeah.
Like I yelped.
Crazy.
That was like maybe the best like
so cool. It's such a cool way to be like, hey, keep your nose out of it to cut.
It's like the best practical effect I've ever seen.
Great. Oh yeah, it looks
it's
fun.
like a straight on shot. He sticks a blade in his nose and then pulls it out, cutting his nose, and it's just like just all one shot. It's like holy shit.
Yeah.
And I think that little bow tie guy might be a Roman Polanski.
I don't know.
But also, I do love that when they're like, hey, where are you going? And he turns around and sees both of them. My immediate thought was like, oh, you guys are a joke. All right, I'm out of here.
And then for most of the rest of the movie, he's wearing a cool-ass bandage on his face.
It's so sick. It's such a...
So cool.
Cool way to show, like...
It reminds me of that, like, Sin City thing where the guy that's got little bandages on him or whatever.
Yeah, he's getting his shit pushed in left and right.
Yeah.
Throughout this movie.
Because he's a smart guy. He's not a strong guy. He can't really fight, but he's a smart guy. With just, like, the little things he does, like the taking the cars and the little,
Exactly,
You know, he's a detective. He's got
he's
a good brain, not so good body.
Still a man in the 30s, so he's trying to fight everybody.
Yeah, he's trying to fight the barbershop, for sure. That's something nobody's done since the 30s.
It's something, you see it a lot in movies. John Die Hard at the end of Die Hard looks in shambles compared to what he did at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
So you can visually see how much toll is being taken on our character mentally as well as physically.
Right.
I really like this because he just, as the movie goes on, he's got that big bandage.
Yeah.
And then he's got a black eye, or then like something else. He's like got a rip in his jacket.
Yeah.
And it's like day after day after day after day. It's like, hey, what are like long-term versions of this where like tomorrow you can still see it on him, but he doesn't look like he just got in a fight,
Sure.
And by the end of the movie, I like that. Bandage is gone, but he's still got that big ass scar on his nose and stuff like that. It's great. Love it.
So two things to expand upon. Like I said, that the way that he finds out about the, working girl being hired to pretend to be Evelyn is he gets a phone call from her where, he asks who hired you, and she says to check the day's obituaries, which is how you find out about the old people, because eventually he goes down to the city, checks the city records, and finds like all this property being bought up by these people who are dead. But in that call, I also love that, like, he's talking with his two associates. The receptionist is like, hey, you got a call from, like, Anita Amanda Hug and Kiss or whatever. And he's like, yeah. Send her to voicemail or whatever. And she's like, this is 1937. There's no voicemail. He's like, all right, we'll tell her to call back another time. And she's like, she's pretty insistent. She must talk now. And she's like, all right. And he's like, hello? Yeah, honey. Okay. What's going on? And she's like, I have something to tell you. He's like, oh, yeah, great. Let's hear it. And she's like, I'm a working girl. He's like, yep, fantastic. She's like, and I was the one that was hired to pretend to be Evelyn or whatever. And he's like, shut the fuck up to a superintendent. Like, just the switch from, like, him not giving a shit to, like, him instantly being, like, Jack Nicholson angry, like, shut the fuck up, like, talking through his teeth.
Yeah.
Like,
I have just, in quotes, shut the fuck up written down in my notes, and I didn't remember what it meant.
It's such a good switch because he's going from, like, yes, baby, to shut the fuck up. Like, it's just so quick.
Immediately to somebody else, just like, shut the fuck up. It's so funny.
Yeah, and it's something that, like, I feel like only Jack Nicholson can pull off.
Yeah, it's something I like. I mean, I haven't seen a lot. I haven't seen One Flew with the Cuckoo's Nest. Like, I haven't seen a lot of...
I saw it growing up, but it's very faint for me, just like Chinatown was.
Yeah, I haven't seen, like, a lot of his, like, really good early work.
I would really like to see, like, what Easy Rider, I think, was one of the first things a friend of the show, Will Lorenz, keeps talking about. How good he is in that.
But I feel like everything I see him in where I'm like, yeah, The Shining, Jack Nicholson kicks ass. He's so good. But also it feels kind of effortless for him. Yeah. Like he just woke up and then rolled out of bed and gave you, like, this incredible performance. And you're like, oh, goddamn, Jack Nicholson. I mean, not saying that this is worse or that this is bad because of it, but I feel like he's trying in this movie quite hard to be a good actor. Yeah. And he nails it. But my favorite thing about it is it's funny to think about him being written as the lead for this because he is the hero of this movie. He's, he's flawed and yada yada, this and that. But he's still our good guy. He's still our hero. But Jack Nicholson is a villain. Yeah. And he's a villain in everything that he plays. Mm-hmm. And so he talks to people like an asshole. The antagonist of this movie. Like, no one in this movie is more the antagonist than he is. But he's the good guy, and just the way he talks to everybody is just. I mean, I think basically what I'm doing is just coming to the realization and summing up Jack Nicholson's whole shtick right now. Yeah. But I love it. It's great.
Yeah, like when he shows up initially to Mulray's coworker or whatever, and he initially thinks that he's the one who's being, like, squeezed into doing the water dumping by someone more powerful or whatever, and that he's in the loop. So he says, like, hey, I don't want to send you to jail, but I do want to send the guy making you do it to jail. So, get a hold of me, here's my number. But before he does that, he goes, like, when he's like showing it, laying his cards out, he says, like, well, he's like, I do know a thing or two about thousands of gallons of water being dumped nightly, which is what we like to call news or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I might go to the press with that or whatever, unless you want to talk or whatever. So here's my card or whatever.
He says something to him like, listen, I catch the bad guy.
Yeah.
You get a promotion. That guy goes down. No one has to know you were involved.
Yeah.
It works out for everybody, huh?
Yeah.
Think about it for me.
Yeah.
And that's such a thing that, like, the bad guy says to the hero of your movie when he's got him handcuffed in the middle of the second act and then leaves. And it's like, hey, listen, I know you want to play the whole hero thing, but me and you, Spider-Man, you and I can rule this town together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
But, he goes to the Hall of Records. He rips out that page of all those names, whatever. He goes and visits those properties and stuff. He gets chased by not hobos. He gets chased by, like, of mice and men people.
True. I don't know where it is. I'm pretty sure we skipped already. But at one point, I want to say it's when he's leaving the records building. But there's that guy standing by the elevator.
Okay.
And
oh yeah,
and
he's
he
like,
walks so long. He goes, "Hey, you hear about the water? All the water missing? Don't know how you'd know because you don't drink it, you don't bathe in it."
Also, I don't know how you would have heard the news because, well, you also can't read. Or something.
Maybe they wrote you a letter, but yeah, you can't read. It's like, dude, did you just come up with this, or were you like walking across the lobby, see that guy, and go, "Okay, water. You don't. He doesn't bathe. He smells funny. He drinks a lot, so he probably doesn't drink. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. He slams the shit out of him. But eventually, another thing that happens is they start fucking, Giddies and this lady, Mrs. Mulray.
Yes.
And then they're laying in bed, and she's like, "Why do you always talk about Chinatown?" He's like, "'Cause there was a dame, and I was supposed to keep her safe, but because I got too mixed up in Chinatown, she got extra hurt." And she's like, "Wow, that's so sad."
And she gets a phone call and goes,
"I've got to go." And he follows her.
Hey, me and you are actively in the middle of solving and being attacked by a murder investigation.
Yeah, and also we just did sex.
You need to tell me where you're going right now.
Yeah.
She went,
Yeah. So he follows her, and then she's in a house with the mistress tied up, but then they're in the car, and she's like, "That's not my mistress." And I'm sure it's probably later or whatever, but she's like, "It's my sister." And he slaps her. He's like, "It's my daughter." Slaps her. He's like, "It's my sister." He slaps her. He's like, "It's my sister and my daughter. That old man fucked me, and it wasn't rape, and we made a baby, but I hate him, and she can't know anything about him or be related to him in any ways." And by this point, like I said, you find out that the old man is like buying up all this land so that he can build like an aqueduct or something or a dam to like revert the water from LA to out to the the valley or whatever, so that now that the property will be worth like 30 times what it's worth now or whatever. Mm-hmm. That they're going to say he built this city, because the whole thing is that, he says at one point, he's like, you can either bring the water to Los Angeles or bring Los Angeles to the water. And he says, like, I'm not taking it from LA. I'm going to incorporate the valley into Los Angeles. So technically, I'm just bringing the water to LA, right?
Yeah, but he's shorting the water in LA.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. But he's, and it's very interesting too, because it's one of those things where, like, so often our main character does like shit on him for being so rich. Like, he says, like, I gotta ask you, how much are you worth? And everybody's like, "Oh, I don't really want to say." He's like, "But you're at least 10 million. Everybody's like, "Yeah, I'm definitely worth at least that." And he's like, "What more can you buy? I mean, you're like 90. Don't you have enough cars and houses? Is there, like, what more would this do for you?"
Also, he says, a bad thing, maybe the worst thing you can hear in a Roman Polanski movie.
Oh, God,
goes,
yes.
You're evil. He goes, "No."
I know exactly what he said and exactly how he said
Something along the lines of, like, some men just know that under the right conditions, they could do anything.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. Yeah, no, it's even worse. It's something to the effect of, I've just realized that under the right conditions, anyone's capable of anything, or something like that, right? Yeah, but it's basically what you said. But yeah, he says it in a very disgusting way, which is... Also, this whole time, his buddy from the police force back in the day that also worked in Chinatown is like on his ass, thinks he's involved, and is actively trying to arrest Mr. Jack Nicholson. This all comes to a head after all this stuff, running around with the femme fatale and yada yada yada. They all end up in actual Chinatown with the daughter and the grandpa, who's also the dad, and it's just all a big thing. And there's just some gross stuff with the old man being like, "I'm gonna be your granddaddy and your daddy," or whatever, and she's like, no, you're not gonna be either. Get out of here.
I do like that the last time Jack Nicholson saw her, he was like, "Okay, listen, you get to the train, blah, blah, blah. I'll meet you guys there I'll go take care of this. I'll meet you guys at the train at this time, okay?"
Yeah.
And then when he does show up, he's like, okay, I have the police And your dad with me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Also should mention there's all that stuff with Burt Ward. I did like Burt Ward throughout this. Not Burt Ward. Burt Young throughout this whole thing. Loved Burt Ward. He's the first guy that you ever see in the movie talking to Jake because he's like, I think my lady's messing around on me, and then he finds stuff that he. The next time you see her, she's got a big ass black eye, which is not good.
Yeah, it's the like the clear side of like his whole thing being like, I don't want to get too involved in anything because then bad stuff happens. It's just like, boom, immediately like, hey, something that you weren't really involved in other than you doing your job. This woman has a black eye. Ooh, you were pretty fucking involved.
Yeah. But he shows up because basically he's like, I know where Evelyn's at. To Lou, who's the detective or whatever, and he's like, just give me like 2 minutes inside alone. He's like, I'll give you 3 minutes, Gillies, but that's it. He goes in and he's like, hey, Bert, will you drive me somewhere? And he's like, yeah, let me just finish up dinner. He's like, no, I mean right now, will you drive me somewhere?
We're going out the back door.
Yeah, so anyways, he's arranged to like take them to Mexico or something like that. Whatever. Basically what ends up happening is the old ass man shoots Evelyn. Yeah. Old ass man also gets shot. And basically the movie just kind of ends with like...
the police shoot Evelyn.
Yeah, the police shoot Evelyn. With basically... one of them says to him basically like, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown.
So I was like, and we went, what do you say? And you went, I don't know. And then I went, should I rewind it? And then we just moved on with our lives.
But yeah, just like that story you told earlier, Evelyn ends up getting hurt because he got too involved, like you were saying earlier. Great noir thriller, great performances, fun little mystery. Like I said, it's definitely got that like blue velvety thing about it where you just get involved in that mystery, like characters get sucked up into this mystery. And I gotta say, obviously I'm not immune to this. It's everybody's been swept up by it. There's just something about early LA crime, noir, shady dealings, uncovering corruption thing that is just so extracurricularific and bonerific and all that kind of otherifics. Chinatown's an A+, easy layup A+ for me.
Oh yeah, Chinatown's a NBA Jam. He's on fire. Dynamite A+.
Yeah, it broke the backboard.
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah. Shackzilla.
I think my favorite detective noir film bit in this is when he's back at her house. He loads all her luggage up into Burt Young's car. He drives up and he's looking around her house and he sees the guy at the pond again and he goes, oh, right, I was going to get something out of there.
Yeah, and he goes, hey, guy, can you reach into this? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll just go. I'll go waste in my khakis for sure for this. Yeah,
that's my job. And he gets the glasses and he puts it all together. Goes, oh, it's salt water in his lungs. Yeah. She drowned him in this saltwater pond because his glasses are in here. Yeah. And then he goes there and he drops the bomb on her and she goes, fucking fine. And she lays everything out to him. And they have the big thing. She said about daughter, yada, yada. Yeah. He goes, okay, you get out of here. But we'll do that. Yeah, I'll call the cops. I'll have them meet me here. I'll figure it out. She goes, okay. And she's crying. She's getting her stuff together. And she's like halfway out the door. And she goes, oh, those aren't his glasses, by the way. He doesn't wear bifocals. And leaves. And I'm like, what the fuck? Whose glasses are they?
Yeah.
It's so good. I love it.
Yeah, I also love, like, the whole third act happens. I mean, Evelyn says it during the third act to really drive it home, but, like, yeah, the old-ass man owns the police, so, like, he's just being blatantly, like, honest about everything in the third act, where, like, he's like, I can lay it all out, and the old man's basically like, yeah, it's all true, and also, that's my incest daughter, and, like, the police literally at no point ever are giving you any indication that they have any interest in the old man. They're almost acting as if he's not there.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, really, at least in my opinion, like, moving and poetic because it, it really just paints, like, the picture so well of, like, how easily people with money can just do whatever they want. Because it's not even like they're giving the pat on the back or the cosign. They're just literally acting like he's not there at all, And it's a wonderful way to portray that, just kind of like, and just that hands off, do whatever you want, don't care, you own this town, not even gonna look at you, because like it almost gives that kind of like mobby kind of thing where it's like to even acknowledge him is a disrespect thing. It's more respectful for me to just pretend like he's not even here. Yeah.
I think when all my hair turns gray, I'm going to start wearing exclusively blazers, bolo ties, and a cowboy hat. So people, wherever I go, people will assume, there's a good chance that I don't even know about it, but this guy owns me. So.
There's a good chance that this guy probably has a daughter, sister, or whatever the fuck it would be.
This guy can sick hounds on me.
Any closing thoughts on Chinatown?
Chinatown's great.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it during the movie.
Look at this poster for it.
Oh, you mean this one? I'm not gonna turn my computer all the way around, but yeah, I got it.
It's so good.
It's great.
Yeah. Our computer's kissed.
I was thinking about it while watching it. Our boy, I think in conversation, Columbo came up maybe.
Okay.
And I was thinking, what if this was Peter Falk instead of Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
I was like, this movie would still kick ass, and I think I'd really like it. And then I thought, what if Columbo was Jack Nicholson instead of Peter Falk? And then I thought, what if a woman under the influence, she was married to Jack Nicholson instead of Peter Falk?
Yeah.
What if in Batman 1989 it was Peter Falk as the Joker instead of... What if you switched those two actors and everything they're in? Yeah. I'd watch 100% of those movies.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, A Woman Under the Influence would be a much different movie.
They would all be still much different, good. But I think they would all be equally as good.
It would just be a different. Not bad, but different. Because, like, the thing about Peter Falk in that performance is you feel so bad for him.
But also you feel so bad for her because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also with Jack Nicholson, I feel like you'd feel a lot worse for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you'd still feel bad for him because, like, I still feel like there's something sympathetic about Jack Nicholson. And that's why people like him. Even though he's such an asshole, there's something about his vibe or frequency that, like, just... You can tell that deep down inside there's a guy who doesn't know how to properly outlet his emotions.
Yeah, it's the vibe I get, not so much... I wouldn't put it in those words... for me, what it hits me as is like, this guy's an asshole. God, I like this guy. I want this guy to like me. You know?
Yeah. There's an element of that, but I think for sure, like the same way that, like, this is a crazy example, and I hope you know what I'm talking about. But just that thing where, like, you might be reading a story about, like, a murder or something, and then there's, like, something where it's like, but man, he loved his mom. And you're just like, you know what? Deep down, there was at least something about it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing that Jack Nicholson gives, where it's like, there's, like, once you find that thing, where you're just like I don't think it's there in The Shining, but, like, if there was, like, an indication that he really did love Shelley Duvall, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think that's there for The Shining. But there's something about his character where you feel like there's got to be I think it's just part of being a human being where, like, you can humanize even a shark.
Yeah.
You just always think that there's inherently some good, and I think that's what the pull is with Jack Nicholson. And it's like almost like a can I fix him thing. Like, I could fix him,
Yeah, for sure. Third option.
Yeah.
The level of bad guy he puts out is astronomical, we can all agree.
Sure.
But a couple notches above that is his cool level. So I think he's cooler than he is evil. Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
These are all true statements. Yeah. They all add up to being true. A portrait of a man, might I say. I'm going to take a pee-pee, so if we could do a pause, that'd be great.
So after we watched the A+, thinking about maybe S-tier movie Chinatown.
Yeah.
Chris, I'd like to give you the formal apology.
Oh, for making me watch this?
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, I've been curious about it for a while. I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen. There are things I definitely like about it.
Yeah.
But I think it does feel like it's missing something overall.
Absolutely. We're talking about The Amazing Spiderman 2012.
Yes.
Directed by Mark Webb.
Yeah, which is, like I said, I didn't, like, hate the movie. There's definitely some stuff that's really good in it, but, excuse me, it just happens to be sandwiched between the Sam Raimi one, which has its charm, and the new ones, which honestly, in my opinion, like, maybe a good way to put it is, like, I feel like Andrew Garfield, though I do like him as an actor, he feels stuck between the Tobey Maguire age and the Tom Holland age.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly.
In a way that I don't like. Because I think we've talked about this before. I really like an early 20s Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do the kid Spider-Man, I like it being a little tiny boy Tom Holland.
Yeah, exactly.
This is an awkward age. Like, the thing where it's like, I feel like this is probably even an uncomfortable age to be, like, I'm thinking about it through movies and TV, like, an awkward age to be a young man to begin with, and then also just, like, which is good, but it's just like, it's just an awkward age, is all I have to say.
Yeah, and he's also, I think, like 39 in this. I'm saying no. He's old. I think Andrew Garfield's older, but you're right. He looks, I don't know, 19 maybe.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't work where he is. Which is why I think the next one, Amazing Spider-Man 2,
is he in college or something in the second one?
Yeah, They're like going off to college or something like that.
Yeah.
They're in their early 20s.
Sure, that would work better.
this
Because
is how it
again,
feels.
he like they set it at an age where I feel like you need someone who looks like Tom Holland to be Spider-Man.
Or Tobey Maguire. It has to be adults playing kids or kids
Yeah.
playing kids. It can't be
Yeah,
just adults playing kids. Yeah, I think this movie is fine.
yeah,
I mainly just want to sing the praises for the second one eventually one of these days.
for the second one you said.
Yeah.
But this bitch made $750,000.
Yeah, man, it's Spider-Man. Everybody loves Spider-Man.
They do.
I think the story is he made 500 Days of Summer, Mark Webb, and then was like shopping stuff around. Had a meeting with Sony, and I think the way those meetings work is you show them what you got, and they go, okay, we'll think about it. We got stuff. Do you have any ideas for any of the properties we own? And I think from what I remember reading, he was just like, I mean, long shot. Shit, what do you guys do with Spider-Man? Oh, yeah, let's talk. What do you want to do with Spider-Man? And then you got Spider-Man, which I think is pretty cool.
Interesting. So I was going to ask the story because I know that probably Sony was trying to make some money off Spider-Man just because the Sam Raimi ones, I'm sure, made dickloads of money.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And so, yeah, I was just trying to think. So this is another one where, okay, so I think the weakest part of this film, even though I do love Martin Sheen, always have great actor. It's not that I can even point to like specific things where I'm like, man, this movie's good because of him. It's just that like he's good.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
But anyways, the weakest part of this film to me is that again, I do not need that first like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's something that like again, I really want to sing Homecoming's praises for.
Oh, yeah.
Don't need the Uncle Ben stuff.
I think I don't need the parent stuff.
Yeah.
And
same thing. Oh, even with the Batman that just came out.
Yeah.
You don't really get that much. You do get it as like a characterization, but you don't you don't get the whole thing. So.
I get that, and yeah. People say that all the time, and people are like, "Oh, so glad I didn't have to see the fucking pearls again."
Yeah.
I personally,
yeah.
I don't mind.
Sure, that's fine.
I, as somebody who reads comic books, not even that aggressively, just casually, maybe a little bit more than casually.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know how much those fuckers would love to remind you that Batman's parents got shot in an alley, or Spider-Man's uncle is Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up constantly, so you're never forgetting it. So like, if I see it in a movie for 1,000th time, it's the 20,000th time I've seen it, including books. So it doesn't really bother me, but
sure.
I think this one has it, and it falls flat for it, which I think is unfortunate because, like you said, it's goddamn Martin Sheen and Sally Field.
Which also, I gotta say, while I did love Martin Sheen, Aunt May is almost
she's better in the
not
second
in
one.
this movie.
She's real good in the second one.
Yeah, she's not really here for this one though.
Yeah, like I think about it. Probably the most from that movie, from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Unfortunately, the dad stuff carries over into the next movie. He's still concerned about his science dad. And I don't know, Aunt May comes into the room, and he's got like some kind of creepy, like Always Sunny Charlie mailroom, like red string board hooked up to like a bunch of stuff. And he's like losing his mind, and she's like, "What are you doing, Ball?" He goes, "Well, my dad, he went there, and why isn't this?" And like he's like losing it, and she goes, "Hey, no." He's like, "Why don't you tell me about my dad?" And she goes, "No, you are my boy, you are my son." And she's like, "They just left you here, and blah blah." No, I will not. I'm not fucking putting up with any of this anymore. You are my son. It's just like, oh fuck, oh right, you're Sally Field. Oh fuck, this is really good. And I feel that way with Martin Sheen a couple times in this movie, but also I feel like you get him real quick and then he's dead.
Yeah.
But I feel that way about the Sam Raimi ones too. But also whatever the actor's name is who plays Uncle Ben in those, I'm like, you see that guy and you go, oh, that is my grandfather.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter who you are. You're like,
that guy's
oh no,
Uncle Ben.
For some reason this guy hits me in the soul.
Yeah.
This guy is the Fire Walk With Me of people where I'm like, oh, he just resonates for me.
Yeah, I mean, you want to give your history? We did kind of blaze past that.
Yeah, this movie came out in 2012. I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
It came out the same year as the Avengers, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And I was super hyped about it. I went and saw it with some friends.
Yeah.
And if I'm being perfectly honest, I think
was this a movie where you're like, that's literally me. I'm literally him.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Because I can see that, and I wanted to address that. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, yeah.
But when we get to it, also the thing about the first half is like there's just this weird blend of like that's not how life was in 2012, but like we still kind of have the High School Musical like bully skateboard kid, will you take pictures of my boyfriend's car
exactly
thing, like
yeah,
because like again in 2012, like even just the thing where like he's a photographer and the way that you try to portray that is by like having a, and he's a nerd, by having a girl ask him if he'll take pictures of her boyfriend's car.
yeah.
I didn't know anybody in high school that was like looking for someone to take pictures of her boyfriend's car. It's like it's just like it sounds like Happy Days sometimes, like
that does, yeah, for sure.
You
Yeah.
know, like
But what I really like about it is, like, to get what I was saying out of the way real quick.
Yeah, okay,
he dresses exactly like I dressed in high school, and he has the exact same haircut, and he's got an Atticus clothing brand sticker in his locker, and in the next movie he's wearing a Thrasher t-shirt. And,
yeah, you're right. Not taking any of that away from you.
and
Just
like I said,
saying the movie is, because of its odd timing,
yes,
is awkward.
but when it comes to the like him being a nerd and not a nerd, or like the high school not really existing, I think it hits and misses at the same time, like everything in this movie.
Yeah.
Where, the bully shoving a kid into a trash can or whatever at the beginning of the movie.
Into pie.
That has not happened. No one has been put in a garbage can in 45 years.
Well, you know why? Because this is one of the guys who screenwrote this movie. He was born in 1927.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But also there was a third guy. Let's see when he was born, because I bet it was 1903. No, it was 1960. But he was born in Austin, Texas. Anyways, continue.
Well, like a big complaint I hear about this movie all the time is just like, oh, he's too cool to be Peter Parker. Like, he's not a nerd. Peter Parker's supposed to be a nerd.
Yeah.
But it's like, along with kids getting shoved in the trash cans, Chris, when was the last time you saw somebody with taped up glasses and a pocket protector? Like, I love Matt. Like, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it hasn't in a really long time. It's something I remember from Kick-Ass. I want to say the book. Maybe even be in the movie. But he talks about, like, his, like, character introduction. He's just like, I wasn't one of these guys. I wasn't one of these kids. I wasn't one of these kids. Like most kids my age, I was just kind of there. Mm-hmm. And that's what I really like about Peter in this movie. And that's kind of how he is in the comics after, the 60s.
Yeah.
Is he's like, a guy who's kind of there.
Yeah.
He's just there. And he's smart, but he's just there. Mm-hmm. And so, no, I think to make Peter Parker a dork, to be like, I'm a science kid who goes to a science. It's like, that feels like a bullshit garbage. Yeah. Doo-doo caca, like my brain right now. Chris, please talk about Spider-Man so I can stop thinking.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, and then, to yes and your thing, I think that's the perfect balance that they've struck would probably be Tom Holland, where he's like a mega nerd boy, but also like just also a normal kid also, Yeah. Yeah.
Controversial Spider-Man take?
Sure.
The more the time goes on, the less I like that kid.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't really like him that much
fair.
as Spider-Man.
That's fair.
I don't know what it is, what I don't like about him, but I just don't.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
Yeah, I get it. I wouldn't consider him a perfect Spider-Man.
I think the worst thing to ever happen to him is that last Spider-Man movie.
Why?
Where he was put into a movie with two much better Spider-Men. Like, oh, no, poor kid.
But anyway, so a couple of things about this movie. To begin with, it's something I asked you about, and you told me that in the 80s, apparently they added this in. Peter Parker's parents are science spies.
They're just scientists, I think.
But they get in trouble for stealing a file.
Yeah. Because the lizard man in this movie and Spider-Man's dad were making lizard stuff to help fix Norman Osborn because he's dying. And then Spider-Man's dad went, uh-oh, this is dangerous. I gotta run away.
I'm gonna go on a nerd rant.
Love it.
My understanding of genetics is that, like, if you and I both had IQs of 200 and then we fucked and made a baby, that doesn't necessarily mean that our kid is going to have IQs of 200 because genetically that could be a dominant or recessive gene necessarily, right? So the kid could end up dumb as shit. Really smooth brain. And also, I just want to make that point primarily because I don't, like, just again, I know that this is, like, from what you've told me in the 80s, what is established canon. Don't like his parents also being scientists. Because I think there's something endearing about a character who just, like, is. It's not, like, a lineage thing. You don't get it from anybody. And so the other thing I like about Spider-Man is at least my exposure to it, which is not the comics, it's the movies, and also cartoons and stuff. I was never given a lick of parents.
Yeah.
And I did like that because, again, it reminds me of, like, the Donald Glover joke about how, like, realistically, this is a kid who lives with his aunt and uncle and is poor in, like, New York. He'd probably be a person of color. I do, like, there's something endearing about, like, everybody knows the kid who was raised by their grandparents.
Yeah.
Or, like, raised by their aunt and uncle or something like that. But, like, you never know why, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so something very endearing about it. And I just wanted to say that, like, yeah, I really don't care for there being any, like, mystery or espionage given to the parents at all. I like it just being a thing where, like, they just don't talk about it. There's probably a story there of, like, drugs or this, or maybe they were too young and they couldn't raise it, so maybe they're whatever happened. I don't know, and am better for it. I feel like, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I do. I much prefer the idea that
they're gone.
Peter Parker's parents died when he was 2.
Sure, yeah.
He does not remember his parents, and so for
like
all
Harry Potter
intents and purposes, yeah.
Although they do give a lot about, like, oh, you're just like your father and stuff. But,
yeah, like
I haven't seen those movies in forever. Whatever.
Yeah, there's a little bit too much disconnect with Peter and Aunt May and Uncle Ben in this movie.
Yeah.
I want to say it's the Ultimate Comics from, like, the early aughts.
Okay.
Where they were like, hey, this is new Spider-Man. You remember? I think in that one, Peter's dad was a scientist at Oscorp with Eddie Brock's dad, and they both together made the black goopy shit that becomes Venom.
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking about how great that Ultimate Spider-Man PS2 game is.
Yeah, this is where I'm getting this from because I didn't read any of those comics. And I think they made it to cure cancer, and then they both died in a way I don't know. Maybe Oscorp, maybe spy stuff. I don't know.
Sure.
But then that's just used as a way to, like, reflect the, like, oh, this whole story is about, like, inherited trauma and shared trauma that you can have with your friends, but it's a big goo now, but so we'll connect their parents. And so I think that might be where a big part of his dad working with the Lizard in this might be pulled from. But it sucks because even more so than his dad being science spy and that making him special, Chris, the reason none of this is working in this movie, like all the Lizard experiments are failing, but Peter has the answer and Peter gets bit by the spider and it works on him, is because his dad did that on purpose.
Does that get revealed in the second one?
I think they say it in this one.
Yeah. That he made it to work for his son, or that
he fucked with it.
Made his son to work with it.
I think he made it like he fucked with it purposely so that no one could use it unless he did, because who would just try it on his son, you know?
Sure.
So he, like, coated it to Peter's blood, so the only person that this
lizard, it reminds me of a twist I don't like from the Bruce Timmiverse. The episode of Ultimate Alliance or whatever the fuck, where, like, it turns out that actually Terry McGinnis is a clone.
Son.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that shit's
not even a son, but like a clone of him, or whatever. Like basically a son, but like it was like literally like an exact replica of his DNA or something.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, because again, it's one of those things where it's like that takes, like, when you have a character who, for lack of a better phrase, like has built themselves out of nothing, and then instead go, nah, he's like that because his dad was good.
Yeah, that sucks.
That sucks so much.
Yeah, like no, I don't like that. What I specifically don't like is, well, he's Batman because his dad was Batman.
Yeah.
He's good because his dad was good. Bruce Wayne is good because his dad was a very, like, philanthropic guy.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with Harry Potter. Like, I think that's the thing, is that his dad's a knight. I mean, I didn't mean good as in, like, virtuous. I meant good as in, like, he's good at stuff because his dad was good at stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, you're right. That sucks and plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's so... It's strange though, because I feel like if we found out that Bruce Wayne's real dad was like the Grey Ghost or a different superhero, that wouldn't really bother me.
No,
because I know that Batman's already, a billionaire.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Terry McGinnis, who's just a punk kid off the street, who happened to end up being Batman, I want him to just be a punk kid off the street.
Yeah.
I want Spider-Man to just be a punk kid that lives in Queens.
Oh yeah, he's a street kid.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's living with Aunt May, Uncle Ben. He's in high school.
Sorry, go on.
He's in high school. According to Wikipedia, he is intelligent but socially awkward and often bullied. We do see this. Yeah, we see the kid get, his head put into the pie, and we see the girl be like, "Oh, Peter, your photos are so good." He's like, "Huh?" She's like, "Yeah, would you be free this Friday?" And he's like, "Huh?" And she's like, "To take pictures of my boyfriend's car?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll check the old schedule." You see Gwen Stacy probably, which is just a funny choice in my opinion, because, like, Emma Stone, notorious redhead.
Yeah,
and then just be like,
funny, yeah.
Diet blonde, you're being Gwen Stacy.
Also, I love that this movie's got Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
You never see any love for. I mean, I think you do now, but a big nerd Spider-Man take, you don't see enough love for Gwen Stacy.
I don't know her deal much in the old comics.
Chris, the old deal of Gwen Stacy in the comics is that Peter Parker's one true love is Gwen Stacy, and he settles for Mary Jane because Gwen Stacy's dead.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd get it.
Yeah. Well,
Or
Andrew Garfield was dating Emma
Kirsten
Stone.
Dunst.
But they're both notoriously very private people, so we know nothing about that. But also, I will say, Benjamin Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie also dated Zooey Deschanel, the Manic Pixie Dream girl. They married, but they divorced also. Which I would put that on par with Fumbling Baddies in terms of...
Oh, yeah.
It's the aughts or the teens, the two biggest fumbles in terms of TV and movie, It'd probably be Emma Stone and Zooey Deschanel. But, I think he had a problem with alcoholism, and then he started running. And he's sober now.
Ran away from his problems.
Ran so far away. But anyway, so basically what happens is he cracks open a little briefcase that Robert Parker left him.
I love... They go much harder in it later, but I do like the scene of him and Martin Sheen in the basement. I do like him being like, oh, so what was it, a right hook? And he's like, what? I fell skateboarding. He goes, oh, come on, I'm an old man. I know a punch when I see one. But I do like that they're looking at the flooded basement and they're sitting there with their pants rolled up. And I think the only reason the basement's flooded is so that you get a chance to see Peter go, no, I know what the problem is. I'll go to the hardware store tomorrow and get something. It's like, oh, right, he's an engineer. This kid's smart. You don't have to show him doing science on a big hologram that's popped up in his room that he made out of an old DVD player or whatever. It's like, oh no, he's just like, oh yeah, no, I know how the plumbing system under this house works. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. I do agree with that. I also really do like interactions between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. I think they're both very cute together.
It feels against the law to be looking at them. They are so in love, and you're just like, oh, buddy. Like when they're just like, oh God. And in the second one, every time I watch the second one, those two are so in love.
Yeah.
And I watch that movie and I go, I have never and will never be in love. Because nothing I've ever experienced feels like what I'm feeling watching these two talk to each other. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gross.
He does.
You know what? I'm glad they broke up.
He does some Twilight the movie style detective work and finds out that there's a picture of his dad with Dr. Connors, finds out about the work they're doing on cross-species genetics, and then steals a badge from a guy and sneaks into Oscorp where Gwen Stacy is an intern and stumbles into the spider room after impressing mildly Kirk Connors. Gets bit by the spider.
Spider room sucks.
Yeah, spider room does suck.
I don't like looking at it, spider room.
Yeah, don't like spider room.
Gives me heebies and jeebies.
Yeah. He finds the missing piece to Connor's experiment in his father's papers and then passes it off as his own later when he visits Connors.
Right.
I believe. There's a couple of times where Peter does not so good things like that in this movie.
I would like to say I'd like to defend him in that situation by being like, oh, well, I still don't know what the whole deal is here, so maybe I shouldn't let him know I have a lot of my dad's secret work that he was keeping secret for a reason.
Yeah.
But also, he just gave him the lizard key to the lizard.
During this meeting, he was supposed to be picking up Aunt May, which he didn't do, so he gets his ass eaten when he gets home.
Yes, that's right.
Martin Sheen. He's like, my wife had to walk home 12 blocks.
No, I wrote it down specifically because I love Martin Sheen so much when he says that. He goes, your aunt, my wife, had to... that's such like a... it feels like such a dad thing, but it feels like even so much more specific, like your father figure is your uncle, to say your aunt, my wife, by the way, which is a much bigger deal to me. It's like, oh yeah, fuck, okay. It's like
it's even something I could hear like someone like Red Foreman saying or something where it's just like of another generation, that whole thing where it's like your mother, my wife, had to walk, like that kind of
it's
thing.
like I'm chastising you because you did something wrong to your mother and your father, but now I'm chastising you as a man because you did something to my wife. It's just like, okay, I'm sorry, Martin.
And basically, Aunt May's like, it's okay. And he's like, you're defending him. Stop defending him. She's like, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying stop screaming. And then he slams the door. I will also say this does have a fun I woke up with my powers segment.
It does. Yeah,
It's good. All the things being stuck to his hand, and like especially like just like the chain of events that leave him like sitting on his bed with like his toothbrush in his hand.
Yeah,
like,
it's really good.
It's good. Yeah, the whole thing. But back to the big thing. He has the fight. This fight part is one of the biggest falls flat for me.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a music video of like two characters like on like it's almost like a stage play of like, you know, Peter, where are you? And then Peter's like up on the rafters, like just above him and stuff.
Oh,
and it's like Ben should not be in proximity to him. And it ultimately leads to Ben bleeding out on the sidewalk, and Andrew Garfield gets to go nuts with his acting skills for sure. And it's good, and
absolutely.
it's very effective.
That
but
cry.
yeah. But it is also one of those things where could have been just as powerful if, you know, they were farther away and somehow, you know, he ended up.
Yeah, the guy robs the store, but Peter's there and sees it happen, and he goes, I'm not going to do anything about it. And the guy immediately runs outside in the opposite way of Peter, but also in earshot, and then, like, drops his gun next to Uncle Ben, and Uncle Ben goes, I need to do something. It's all just real sweaty. Like, it's just like, oh, wow, this is the best. This is the best scenario you could have come up with for Uncle Ben getting. It's crazy. It's just.
What is the classic comic one?
I don't know. I do not know.
Because the only other thing I have to compare it to is the fucking Sam Raimi one, which is like Ben's waiting for him outside the library or whatever or something.
Yeah.
Doesn't know that he's going to the wrestling thing. He goes to the wrestling thing.
I think it's always the guy that robs the wrestling promotion. Okay. I think that's from the 60s, or whatever. But I don't.
Because that one's set up so much better. I feel like where it's like he gets shorted on what he's owed, and then the guy gets robbed, and he's like, "Do something." He's like, you know.
Yeah. Not my policy. Like, it sucks.
Yeah, the 2 cents on the milk thing. It's just unreal. It's it reminds me of the "will you take pictures of my boyfriend's car" thing, where it's like, nobody's sweating 2 cents like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that guy's just so cartoonishly an asshole that it's like, he's not even being an asshole. He's just like, it's nuts. But
like in the Raimi one, the guy that fucks him over and gives him $200 or whatever is just like, oh, this guy's a scumbag. But with this guy, it's just like, oh, you're just a petty little man. I don't. Ugh.
But anyways, so that happens, and then he's hell bent on finding the blonde-haired guy with motorcycle glasses and a tattoo, which he never finds. Actually,
that's a great point. Didn't even think
about it. He never finds.
The music in this movie sucks. I think this is about the point I noticed it.
I didn't notice the music at all. Actually, I literally to this. There could have not been music playing the whole time. I swear to God, I did. Yeah. I can't remember. I don't even mean this as a bit. I literally, genuinely cannot remember music at any point in this film.
Well, that's good, because it's like...
And I mean that in a bad way. But
it's like Forrest Gump, Toy Story-y, like bump, 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 like the horns and shit like that.
Okay.
Like, it's very like whimsical and like a 90s inspiring family movie at times. Yeah. And it's just weird. I think the next one's Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
And it's better. I remember it for sure, for good or bad. But yeah. The music in this just like really hit me wrong, and I didn't. Yeah, bad. Maybe
I should also go back and say that there's like that dude hanging around Oscorp. Apparently Norman Osborn's dying, and he's like, "Mr. Crocodile, you need to figure out this cross-species breeding thing and save Norman Osborn's life, or else you'll be missing both your arms, Buster." Also, I guess they pay homage to the OG wrestling thing, because when he's looking for a blonde-haired boy, he gets chased for too long by street toughs and falls through the ceiling into like a luchador ring. Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, just as a side note, not knocking this movie specifically, but just movies in general, the thing where like hired goons chase you for way longer than any effort anyone's putting in real life.
Oh my God, yeah.
He gets over the first fence, and for sure, me and my buddies with guns just go, fuck it. Like, I'm not gonna jump.
Listen.
Not jumping the 10-foot fence, not happening.
I'll chase him down a couple alleys. Mm-hmm. I might shoot
across the street.
I might shoot a bullet through this fence.
For sure.
I ain't jumping it.
No. And I'm definitely not climbing up fire escapes, chasing across the rooftop.
Yeah. But also, maybe that's not why I'm not a street tough.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I think this might be the only Spider-Man movie where you see an actual guy do real parkour.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about, like, there's this scene, I think it happens a few more times, and, like, a few of the scenes when he's, like, actually swinging, You can tell it's like, oh, that's an actual guy doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Like
He also skateboards to Mumford & Son after
Mumford & Sons type thing, yeah.
him and Gwen Stacy do well together as a...
Yeah, that's what I mean by this kid. I watched this movie, I was like, oh man, this guy's so in love that he's skating his feelings out to Mumford & Sons, and this is me. Baby.
Yeah. Eventually, we're introduced to Dennis Leary, who is the police chief or whatever.
Love him.
Or captain, police captain.
Love him. Dennis Leary's so good.
Yeah, he's pretty good in this. Yep. I will say I've never seen him in anything else. The only other thing that I'm familiar with is as a comedian. He's notorious for having stolen a bunch of material from Bill Hicks. Which,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he has got a very bad rap as a stand-up comedian.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, Bill Hicks used to... There's like a joke he said one time that's very famous where he said something like, Dennis Leary's so good that he did my jokes before I even wrote them, and he just took out the part where they were funny or something like that.
That's very funny.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so yeah, notoriously not a liked stand-up comedian in the stand-up comedian community. But as an actor, I really do have to say I like him in this role. I think he almost not nearly the same range. I'm not saying range-wise, not a range guy, but almost has like a William Dafoe thing about him. You know what I'm saying?
He's just weird to look at.
Yeah, he's got like a weird look, and he's got like an almost. Yeah, it's just interesting. But anyways, I do like Dennis Leary in this role. I wouldn't mind, maybe one day giving like Fire Walk with Me a chance. I know that was a pretty critically acclaimed. Fire Walk with Me, Rescue Me,
yeah.
Rescue Me a chance. I know that was pretty critically acclaimed, and people like Dennis Leary in that show a lot.
I don't. My world is shattered about the Bill Hicks thing now.
Yeah.
I like Dennis Leary a little bit less, and I always thought Dennis Leary was one of those guys who was like, "Fuck yeah, Dennis Leary, everyone loves him, got no problems." But yeah, I didn't know that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Not that I'm actually that naive. I just, when you don't know something bad
sure.
about an actor, it's fun to be excited about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think he's just pitch perfect in everything he does in this movie, and I love when Peter's in the police station and he's just like, which I also love. Never seen a Spider-Man or a superhero do this. Just like, oh god, I'm in way over my head immediately. I have to go to the cops.
Yeah.
I love when he's like, and it's Kirk Connors. He goes, Kirk Connors, my daughter's mentor. Yeah, Kirk Connors.
Yeah.
Peter, last month he wrote her a letter of recommendation to a college that was very long and very beautiful. When I read it, I cried.
Yeah. When he's talking about how he's like there is a giant lizard attacking the city. He's like, do I look like the mayor of Tokyo to you?
So good.
But he's genuinely good in this movie, and I do like the dynamic between him because honestly, even though ACAB for sure, during that conversation at dinner though, like I do, I'm like, hey, Dennis Leary is at least making a sound argument, and I'm compelled by the back and forth between these two people for sure.
Yeah. And
to be honest, even though I get Peter's point, he's kind of wrong. Also,
Christopher, audio listeners obviously can't see because I'm.
Yeah.
But I have it written down here, Chris, in my notes. ACAB, but Dennis Leary is right, but also still for sure ACAB.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like he's talking about how he's like yeah, but he caught that carjacker, and he's like, yeah, but that carjacker that we were letting jack cars so that we could get to the guy who runs the carjacking operation.
Yeah, exactly.
And but also just the other thing too is that again it sounds anti-ACAB to say that the cop makes sense, but also outside of the context of fun movies where people are Spider-Man, in real life vigilante justice is potentially worse, dare I say, than the police force. Or at least equally as bad.
Equally as bad, yeah.
Yeah, equally as bad, I would say. We should not be going around looking for vigilante justice.
I know, hey, it's tough because, Chris, I don't think there's ever been a reported incident of vigilante justice in recorded history.
Not like that. People don't put on masks, but definitely people go over there with shotguns and they're like, we're going to take care of this.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Like a great example of vigilante justice, and one of the great bloopers in life. It's a bleeper of a blooper. Motherfucking Jack Ruby. The fuck?
Yeah, come on, man.
The fuck? This man shot the president. We've got so many questions, and 2 days later you're like, I know what I'm going to do for Lady Liberty. Ka-chugga, ka-chugga. Dunce. Literal dunce cap.
I know old Jimmy FK would have done the same for me.
God damn it, dude. Yeah. Fucking dunce.
That's a parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
That guy's like, oh, I have... That's it.
Hey, Bing Crosby, can I use your fuck shack for the weekend? I wish I could do a good Jimmy. James F. Kennedy. John Kennedy.
So
anyway, so that's just a side note where it's just like one of those things where it's like, yeah, because I want to talk about that because we talked about it, in the Iron Man episode that never aired because it was recorded before we ever officially had a podcast. That was a big point of discussion is like, they even address it in the film. There's like, court hearings and stuff like, should a private citizen have the fucking military mech suit? Probably not. In real life? No. Absolutely not. Should the government have it? No, absolutely not. So it's exactly like the Dennis Leary Spider-Man conversation where it's like, cop bad, but also real life without superpowers. Spider-Man vigilante justice, also not good.
Yeah, no, it's like that's what the whole when they fight, the guys they fight.
The bad guys, yeah.
No, the good guys fight. The Civil War.
Yeah.
That's what that whole movie's about. And everyone's just like, oh, it's dumb. Yeah. It's dumb. It's dumb, Chris. It's super. My brain is breaking because I'm like, oh no, is everything I like dumb? It's no, yeah. It's the whole point of that movie is just like the government's like, hey guys, what's up? You're the Avengers and you're cool, but also a lot of people die because you're bad at what you're doing, so you need to be regulated by somebody.
Yeah.
Because vigilante justices can't be happening, and everyone's just like, oh man, you can't trust the government. It's like, yeah, that's also incredibly true.
Yeah.
So maybe
it's a double-edged sword.
Maybe you just get the fuck out of their house and just do what you do, but also don't do vigilante justice, but also let's maybe just scale it back.
Yeah.
Let's
pare back what everybody does.
Hey guys, okay, Iron Man, it's sick that you like aliens, we're real concerned about them and stuff like that, but let's just purses. Let's worry about purse thieves for right now.
Yeah. Ugh. I will also say, this is a total sidebar. Do you know anything about the Cambodian genocide?
I couldn't tell you.
I know very little, but I did listen to a little podcast about it. Had no idea. Obviously, Holiday in Cambodia by Dead Kennedys is the only reason why I knew that something like that had happened. And obviously, it also ties into the larger Cold War of the 20th century. But basically, Pol Pot wanted to construct like an egalitarian society that was also like I don't know what the word is, but like I know the egalitarian aspect of it is like they're famous for like giving everybody the same black pajama suit to wear. But they basically like his first decree was like everybody out of the city. Millions of people were putting you out in the rice fields and you're working because scientists, books, smart people, dumb, kill them. People who make rice and mechanics and things that people do with their hands, great, good, keep that up. That's all we do. Doctors, books, stupid, dumb. We need to go back to how human beings were intended to live off the land. No more city, no more book, no more smart. Dumb. Mm-hmm. Rice. And yeah, over 2 to 3 million, like literally a quarter or like a third of the population died of like malnutrition and starvation, and also just outward like execution. Like I said, he was literally killing people who were smart because he was like, you no smart, that's illegal. Got to be rice farmer.
Crazy.
Nuts.
I heard someone bring up this possibility today, which is such a this will never happen. This is too optimistic for me personally, but also is very optimistic, and it made me happy for a flash. So if we'll do that for you right now, talking about how birth rates are declining. Now I think in Korea specifically, like crazy. But also at the same time, we're post a baby boom, so this makes sense that we're having less kids. But I heard someone say the concern is that our population's going to go down. And it's just like, oh well, we won't have enough people to do the jobs we need people to do. But also at the same time, we're also concerned of, oh no, AI is going to start taking our jobs, and so we might get to a point in a couple generations where it's like, hey, we don't have enough people to do these jobs, but robots are doing these jobs, so we might have a generation or two of just artists and thinkers. And I'm like, oh fuck, that'd be sick as hell. Didn't even think about that.
I could be dead by then. Anyways,
I'd like to be dead by then.
The lizard exists in this film. Great. Good pull. Love it. Again, Batman, Spider-Man. I think by far have the best villains.
Uh-huh.
And
sure.
yeah, don't need, not Spider-Man has not done this, but don't need to just keep pulling Green Goblin and the Joker.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I get why Batman grabs the Joker so often, but like there's some others in there that definitely are good, and so I respect Spider-Man for. I mean, have they doubled up at all yet? Across all 3 franchises?
Yeah, Green Goblin.
Did they do the Green Goblin a second time?
Mm-hmm.
When? In the second one?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 has Green Goblin?
Yeah, and Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, but it's the same character. It's the same character.
No, it's James Franco.
Oh, that's Hobgoblin. That's different.
It is not. That is not how Hobgoblin works.
That's how Hobgoblin works.
No, you know who Hobgoblin is?
Yeah, his son, right?
No, Hobgoblin is Ned Leeds. It's Tom Holland's friend is Hobgoblin. Spoilers, Hobgoblin is Ned.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Wait, when does this happen? This hasn't happened yet, or it has happened?
It hasn't happened in the movies, but in the comic books, it turns out that Hobgoblin was Ned Leeds.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Different.
Norman Osborn's son just becomes Green Goblin. He's just
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, so far we haven't had, like, he hasn't been the Hobgoblin yet. Ned.
correct.
Yes. So we haven't really done any doubling up yet. Is what I'm saying. Of, like what I'm trying to say is Sam Raimi 2, like, Green Goblin's the bad guy, but then Tom Holland 1, Green Goblin's the bad guy, but it's a different Green Goblin this time. You know what I'm saying? Like the same way that, like, 89 Batman has Joker, and then Dark Knight has Joker, and then the Batman also has Joker show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we haven't, like, multiple times seen multiple iterations of the same villain. They are like, oh, let's do Vulture this time. Let's do Electro this time. Let's do Hobgoblin this time.
Kurt Connors is not the Lizard in the Raimi movies, but he's still there.
Yeah.
And in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Dane DeHaan plays Harry Osborn, who at the end of the movie becomes the Green Goblin.
So he's flying around as the Green Goblin?
Yeah.
Okay, so they've done a little bit of doubling down.
Google what he looks like right now.
Right now?
You don't have to. It's just that he looks bad. Also, my low battery Mac will fall asleep soon unless plugged in, and we are outside under the Joshua tree. Should we better pick this up?
Basically, it ends with the lizard fighting.
Oh yeah, a lot of shit happens.
Spider-Man.
You know, Spider-Man makes a lizard guys, and then Spider-Man's like, I'll make you make not the lizard guys, and then Dennis he's like,
they shoot the thing up into the sky that makes everybody autistic.
My daughter dated a Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he says, you gotta promise me you're not gonna date my spider daughter.
He's
or
like,
non-spider daughter.
Cool, I'll do that for just long enough to not go to your funeral, which is maybe the only time I should have.
Yeah, she shows up, she's crying in the rain, and she's like, you were the only person not at my dad's funeral in the entire city of New York.
And you are my boyfriend, so what's up, dude?
And then it ends with very uncomfortable line, in my opinion. Because
Mr. Parker, don't keep promises you can't keep.
And he's like, but those are the best ones.
And she gives a little smile, and then bum, 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 bum. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Yeah, I think this movie is...
He looks like something out of David Lynch's Dune.
Yeah, he's awful, isn't he? He's just a slimy little guy.
Yeah. Does he have a good personality?
No, he's awful.
Who is he supposed to be? Who actor is this?
Dane DeHaan. He's from Valorant.
I don't know what that means.
And
I ain't never heard no Dane DeHaan.
He was in, I want to call it Obsidian. I know that's not what it's called. It's the movie with the kids that are superheroes, written by by actual rapist Max Landis.
Chronicle,
yes.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Anyway, things I like about this movie. Favorite scene. I don't like anything about this movie that much, if I'm being perfectly honest. The more I think about it. I was going to say when he pulls that kid out of that car, I like that. But
yeah,
also,
it's a good scene. Yeah.
I like that he does the Adam Sandler Big Daddy invisible sunglasses thing to the kid. That's cool.
Yeah.
But all in all, yeah, I think this movie's... Oh, damn, did we rank the Spider-Man movies when we did them?
Oh, goddamn, that's a crazy pull, and we can't do it right now. We're going to have to do it when we do Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
We're going to have to do it then.
So it goes at the
bottom. I feel like there was something we should talk about. Probably the rating. I'd give this thing a nice C.
Let me give it a C+.
Okay.
Respectable.
I'm going to dump it down a bit. C-.
Okay. It's respectable even more so.
The other thing is, what are we doing next episode, which is the 100th episode?
That's right. It's our centennial. Next week, we're going to watch Halloween 3, 4, and 5. Let's call back to our first episode.
Yes. I also instructed the competitor to watch the first two because I don't believe he has seen them.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's worth just having that baseline knowledge.
Also, friend of the show, my brother Donald will be on.
True.
He himself.
That episode will be called My Brother, and Nick.
Exactly. Yeah. He has prepared a game show for us to play. He's very excited about it. He said, "Nick, I miss when you do the game shows." And I say, "Donnie, my brother, I don't got the time." Mm-hmm. And he says, "Okay, then I'll do it." And I said, "All right, fine." So we're gonna do that on our 100th episode.
And what is the game show gonna kind of cover? I guess.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Donald.
Okay, I'll ask Donald then.
From what I hear, facts about maybe Halloween movies.
Sure.
And then the show in general.
Trying to do some polls, some old ESA polls.
Old ESA polls. Things that maybe just the host will think is funny. A lot of opinion-based questions, probably.
Sure. Here's something fun. It could be inspiration if Donald's listening, or it could just be an episode in the future. Trying to do a quiz, like a recap, kind of like clip show-ish vibe, where it's just like, what do you think you gave The Pianist?
Okay, yeah.
What do you think you gave Blade to?
That's fun.
You know, those are both movies we have not, reviewed. But like just in this moment, if I were to say I'm gonna do a test run real quick. Okay.
Okay.
Nick, what do you think you gave Lost Highway?
What did I give Lost Highway?
Yeah.
I gave Lost Highway, the David Lynch movie, a B-.
Okay. You give it a C-.
Ah, fuck.
We're gonna do one more.
Oh, I do 100 of these.
Nick, what do you think you give the 1987 film Predator?
I gave the 1987 film Predator a D-. I didn't like that movie.
Super close. You gave it a D.
Nice.
All right, let me look at another one. I want to ask two more, okay? Just because these two stand out to me.
We could do this. We should have done this next week. We could do this for an hour.
It's probably not that interesting to listen to, though.
I don't care.
Well, I feel like we need to fluff it up. Like, this is the pilot idea.
Okay.
So maybe, find a way to be all right, how do you bring up, for example, what did you give A Scanner Darkly? At the end of maybe a conversation about it or something? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But what do you think you gave A Scanner Darkly?
Ooh, that's a...
I know. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's a good pull.
F.
Pretty close. D+.
Ah.
D+. Let me look around again. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. Fuck. Okay. We're going to round it out with 5. I was just going to do 4, but I have 2 more that I want to ask about, then I'm not. Okay. What do you think you give Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday?
A C-.
Pretty close. You give it a D. All right, and here's the last one. And I'm going to try to, just kind of, find it, but not fuck it. God damn it, I saw another one that I want to ask. All right. Fuck it. Do I ask that, or fuck, that one's gonna be 2. What do you think you gave Salem's Lot? I think this week you're just gonna have to fade out on us doing this.
If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,
This is the most off-guard and unprepared I have been for this bit, I think, maybe ever.
You want me to go for it, though?
No.
Okay.
You can come back after 100.
Yeah, for 100, I'm going to bring it back with full force.
Fuck, that's great. Hey, everyone, thanks for listening, and for 100, I'm going to bring it back with full force. See you next week.
That's pretty good.